You're listening to the Messengers of Hope Mission podcast with your host, Bob Gardner.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Glistening Glass. Glistening Glass is my company and is a residential window washing and gutter cleaning company. We service the Northern Hillsborough and Southwest Pasco County area. If you're interested in having your home windows or gutters cleaned, now is the time to call. 813-404-2300. That's Glistening Glass. Hey everyone, this is Bob Gardner for the Messengers of Hope Mission podcast. In this podcast, I talk about all the things that we have done and continue to do at Messengers of Hope Mission. However, it is not just about that. It's also about how you, the listener, can get involved at Messengers of Hope Mission and in your communities to make a positive change in the world around you today. So sit back and enjoy the podcast, but don't think of it as mere entertainment. Let each episode inspire you to make a difference in the world around you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Messengers of Hope Mission podcast. This is Bob Gardner, and I'm happy to be back. I know last week that I was having trouble with my laptop, and that is why I did not do the episode. However, this week, even though I'm still having trouble with the laptop, I figured out a way to get it working. The problem is that it's not charging, and I found a workaround on that to get it to charge. I just have to find a new charger for this laptop. But enough about that. I'm sure that you are all interested in what's going on with my laptop, but that is not why you tune into this show. So let's just jump right into the show. I want to talk about the different pantries that we had last week. We had Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Thursday one was at North Tampa Church of Christ. And if you didn't see or didn't hear about it, we had record-breaking numbers there by far. We had 95 people. Last month we had 73. The month before that, 38. That pantry is growing by leaps and bounds every single month. And I think that we're going to have between 150 to maybe 200 people showing up there any given pantry. And then, of course, on Saturday, we had our pantry at Emmanuel Baptist Church and at Church of Odessa, and both of them had higher than normal. They didn't break the records, but they came very close to breaking those records once again. Thankfully, at both locations, there was enough food to go around, and we will plan on that for next month or next week, whichever one comes up first. We will make sure that we have enough food for everybody going to those because they are growing, and it's going to require more food to be able to take care of those people. For the Thursday pantry, I want to thank Chris Ray. For the Saturday pantries, I want to thank Deb Jones and Dave Adams, respectively, for each of the pantries that they run. I don't have as much information about those pantries as I do about the Sunday pantry because they run those and I run the Sunday one, and I've got a lot to talk about Sunday, but I will be trying my best to get them on here to interview them for the upcoming podcasts. So back to the Sunday pantry. If you've been watching our Facebook page, you'll see that Clarence Fentner built a drink container for us. It's a pallet box that we can put the drinks in so people can get the drinks that they want. We put them in there mixed, and then they can pull out whatever flavor that they want. This way they get exactly what they want rather than us choosing it for them. Clarence had done such a nice job building the first box that I had him come Sunday morning and build a second box. We got there 2 hours before we normally would open. And that's when everything went crazy because I walked onto the bus to move the bus so we could get into the building so that Clarence could get the pallets and the wood that he needed to build this new box. And I got on the bus and I had a really bad odor in the bus. It didn't take me long to find out that the bus had somehow tripped the breaker again and that the freezers were off and about 2, maybe 3 days without power. Thankfully, there wasn't a lot on the bus. We lost about a half a freezer worth of meat, but it had smelled rank by that point, and we had to double bag it and throw it in the trash to get rid of it, and then get ready for Sunday as normal. Thankfully, Lazarus and Maddie were able to come up and help and get those freezers emptied out and cleaned, and then it was a matter of having the pantry right there at the building from 12 to 1 and filling the bus up, the freezers again. We had 4 freezers to fill, and we had to basically unload the bus from Thursday, anything that was left, and then reload it for Sunday. Normally, we would do a lot of this on Friday, but we didn't have enough volunteers on Friday, so I forewent that, knowing that I'd be there early on Sunday anyway, and boy, am I glad I did, because if we had loaded those freezers, we would have lost 4 full freezers rather than a half a freezer. And I will talk about the bus in a little bit again anyway, because there's more information I want to give about that, but I do want to talk about the pantry at the building at Messengers of Hope on Black Lake Road first. So we've been running anywhere between 40 to 50 people showing up, usually in the low 40s to mid 40s, and as many as 49 people have showed up to one of those pantries. This past Sunday, of course, we got ready, and we always make about 50 bags up and have everything ready to go. And this past Sunday, we were just blown out of the water because we had 79 people show up. Thankfully, I had volunteers there, and they quickly got to work putting together bags of meat and bags of groceries so that we could get those things out. And man, it was a challenge because everything going on with the freezers on the bus at the same time and loading the bus at the same time. So Sunday was a very, very busy day for us. Finally, about 1:30, it was time to leave to go to our next pantry location, which is in Port Richey on the corner of Ridge and Congress, right behind the Family Dollar. And we get there right around 2 to 2:15ish and get set up and are all ready to go by 2:30. So we got there and we started getting set up and we got the tents up and got the drinks out, started getting the food out. And I was working on getting the drinks and the tent set up, and I was starting to feel low blood sugar. Normally, I would have had lunch by this point, but I had to go up to the building early. And because of what happened with the bus and the freezers, I did not have time to run home and grab something or even stop along the way. I was talking to Clarence on the phone on the way to the stop, and I said that I might stop at a fast food restaurant and grab a couple burgers because I was feeling really hungry. However, I looked at the clock and I said, that's not going to happen. I'll just have to eat when I'm done. That turned out to be a mistake because after a few minutes of getting set up, I all of a sudden had really low blood sugar and I got dizzy. People were coming up and asking me questions, and I was looking at them, and I understood the questions they were asking me, and all I kept thinking was, I know the answer to that, but I could not formulate the words to actually tell them what the answer was. After a few minutes, the volunteers realized that I was having low blood sugar, or at least something was happening to me, and they basically sat me down, got me some water and an orange, and I started drinking, and I ate the orange, and someone ran and got me a few slices of pizza from a local pizza place. And after about 20 or 30 minutes, I did start to feel well again. However, in the meantime, the volunteers really took charge, and they got the line going, they got it all finished up, got it running, and I got to join them about a half hour later. I am so thankful for the volunteers I had. They really stepped up, even though I wasn't there, even though I was there and I could not do anything. They stepped up and made it happen. Thank you, one and all. You volunteers are amazing, and I am so blessed to have you there week in, week out. Thank you so much. I look forward to the next one, and I promise I will have lunch before the next pantry. All right, let's get back to the bus now. So I was talking over the last few weeks. Last time we were not able to bring the bus out because it wouldn't start. I had a mechanic come out and look at the bus, and there was a problem with one of the relays and the wiring. It had gotten hot and melted. So the relays had to be replaced and the wiring had to be replaced. And of course, while he was there, he checked out the bus for some other things, and he found out we had a coolant leak. We were really, really low on coolant. So the fact that the bus didn't run was probably a good thing because we could have seized up the engine because it had so little coolant in it. It could have actually fried the engine. It turned out we needed a new water pump because that was where it was leaking from. So after that was fixed and you got that going, the bus is running now. We have the coolant back in there. It seems to be working well with one exception. I brought to the mechanic's attention an issue that we were having with the bus. Basically, when we're driving it and we stop at a stop sign or a stoplight, sometimes when you hit the accelerator to start going again, it won't go. It will not engage. What we have to do at that point is shut the bus off and then turn it back on, and then hopefully it works. Sometimes it works the first time, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to do that to get going. What is really bad is sometimes it happens when we're driving the bus. We'll actually be driving down the highway and the accelerator will just stop working. At that point, the bus just coasts. So what we have to do is we have to put it in neutral and keep letting it go and shut off the engine. When we do that, we lose power steering, so it's very hard to control the bus at that point and have to start the bus up right away again while we're in neutral. So far, that has worked on the first time every time. But when I told the mechanic this, he said what we need is a new computer. And of course, he hooked up his computer to it and found out, yes, that is exactly the problem. There is a computer error on the bus, and that is going to be a costly repair. Although the bus is drivable at this time, this is something that we cannot ignore because this can be a dangerous thing, and we're going to have to take care of this as soon as we possibly can. And of course, that will mean raising the funds to be able to do that. We think this is going to cost around $2,000 to be able to replace that computer with the parts and the labor. So, that's the news about the bus, and I don't want to harp on that, but that is something that we are going to need to do at some point in the near future. Thankfully, we do have the trailer, and we have Steve's trailer if we need to use it, and we do use the trailer on the different pantries that we go out to, so that has been really great to have that. And of course, we picked up food at Feeding Tampa Bay this past week, and we had that trailer loaded to the max. If you've ever been with us or you've seen the videos, you know on the side of the bus that we have this roll-down awning. And that is great when we're at the different locations because it gives us a break from the sun and, of course, the rain and keeps it off the food. So it's something that is needed and actually very important to have while we're out there. With that in mind, we are looking at getting an awning for the trailer as well. Now, we found one that actually fairly inexpensive, about $520 and maybe another $100 worth of parts to get it installed. And we have that to go whenever we are ready to do that, but we're going to have to raise about $650 to be able to do that. Which I know the timing cannot be worse with what's going on with the bus and, of course, our regular things going on as well. But not everything is doom and gloom. There are some good things going on. This week, Wednesday, at our building, we're going to actually have a second AC unit installed. Now, one of the problems with the AC unit we have now is it's only rated for a building half of the size that we have now. So we're going to actually get a second unit put in, and that will make the building actually workable while we're there during the summer months. During the winter, it's not so bad. In the summer, however, it gets way too hot inside, so we only work in the morning. When we have that AC put in, we should be able to work in the afternoons in the building. This is also a health and safety issue because we have to make sure that the food is kept at a certain temperature. The AC is being donated by Lennox, and the AC guy is donating his time and his labor involved in putting the AC unit in. However, we have to pay for the parts, and then we have to get an electrician there to hook it all up. The electrician that we have coming, he is also working on getting parts donated, so like all the wiring and stuff like that. And if he can get that done, then it is going to be basically free after that, maybe just a few things that have to be picked up at the store. As I said, the AC unit will be put in tomorrow, and hopefully in the next week or so, we will have all the electrical done, and the building will actually be cool enough to work in during the afternoons, and that is actually really good for volunteer time. Speaking of volunteer time, we do have hours posted on our Facebook page for community service hours for teenagers in need of work this summer. I have had a lot of questions about why it's only morning work when these are students. Well, simple, because school is out by that point. If school is out, then they're not students, unless, of course, they're at summer school. But that is the time that we have available because I still have to work and we have volunteers that still have to work. So the morning time is the time that we have to work at the building. That being said, if we have a group that wants to come, like a group of 10 or more people that want to come at a certain time, we can make arrangements to do that in the afternoon or the evening. We just need to have advance notice. And of course, we actually need a group. It can't be like 1 or 2 people. We need at least 10 people to show up for something like that. And lastly, the last thing I want to bring up today is we are still in need of canned food, cans and boxes and bags and things like that. We need that on a constant basis. It has been very difficult lately to get that kind of stuff. We go to the food banks that are local to us, but one of the food banks is actually moving locations, and they have been pretty much shut down for the last 2 to 3 weeks, and it'll be another week or 2 before we'll be able to get food from them again. So we are a little behind the 8 ball when it comes to food. So if you have a teenager that needs to do community service hours, a food drive in your neighborhood would be an amazing thing to do and to help out Messengers of Hope. The last thing I want to bring up before I end the episode is I want to thank Bishop Larkin Catholic School in Newport Richey, Florida, for doing a food drive for us. Grades K through 8 collected 1,578 pounds worth of shelf-stable food for us, and we are so thankful to them. And a shout out to second grade, who apparently won the contest by bringing in the most amount of food. So thank you, Bishop Larkin Catholic School staff and students, and families, of course, for sending in all that food and making it possible for Messenger of Hope to come pick it up. You guys are amazing. You guys are heroes to me, helping us to fight hunger. That's going to do it for this episode of the Messenger of Hope Mission Podcast. I hope to see you out in our communities making a difference in the world around you today as well. Thanks for listening, guys. This is Bob. Catch you later. Hey, summer 2024 is almost here, which means school is almost out and teenagers need community service hours. And Messengers of Hope Mission can help with that, as we're going to have community service hours throughout the summer. Check out our Facebook page and you will see a link for a sign up for community service hours for middle school and high school students. This is a great way for your teen to be involved this summer and to get community service hours for bright futures. Check it out on the Messengers of Hope Mission Facebook page today. That's going to do it for this week's Messengers of Hope Mission podcast. In the words of Mother Teresa, if you can't feed 100 people, feed just one. This is Bob Gardner reminding you to make a difference in our world today. See you next time right here on the Messengers of Hope Mission podcast.